Have you ever looked at your lab results and wondered how this could be happening? You cut salt. You gave up red meat. You drink water all day. You follow every rule they told you to follow. And yet your creatinine keeps creeping up. If that sounds familiar, I want you to listen very carefully, because what's happening inside your kidneys right now may be far more serious than you realize. Many older adults believe that as long as they eat bland food and avoid bad ingredients, their kidneys will be protected. And while that belief comes from a good place, it's dangerously incomplete. I've seen patients do everything right on paper, only to watch their kidney function quietly decline month after month. No sharp pain, no dramatic symptoms, just numbers rising in silence. That silence is what makes kidney damage so dangerous. I'm Dr. Mark Ellis, and in my clinical practice, one of the most heartbreaking patterns I see is this: people don't lose kidney function because they eat too much. They lose it because their kidneys are slowly starving. Starving of the very nutrients they need to repair microscopic damage, calm inflammation, and recover overnight. By the time the warning signs become obvious, precious time has already been lost. And here's the urgent truth: most people are never told eating less is not the same as eating right. When the kidneys are weak, extreme restriction can actually accelerate decline, pushing the filtration system into long-term exhaustion. This is why creatinine can rise even when you feel you've done everything possible to protect your health. In today's video, I'm going to show you a different approach, one that doesn't rely on extreme dieting or expensive supplements. I'll share 4 simple, affordable foods familiar to everyday kitchens that support kidney repair instead of just forcing the kidneys to rest. These foods work with your body's natural rhythms, especially at night when kidney recovery is supposed to happen. And I want you to stay with me until the end, because the 4th food may surprise you the most. It's something many people overlook, yet when used correctly, it can help reduce kidney stress naturally, without medication, without harsh detoxes, and without pushing the kidneys beyond their limits. If you or someone you love is over 60 dealing with rising creatinine, nighttime urination, lower back discomfort, or simply the fear of where kidney numbers might be heading, this conversation could change how you think about kidney health entirely. Let's begin. One of the biggest mistakes people make when trying to protect their kidneys is assuming that rest simply means eating less. In reality, the kidneys don't recover just because you remove food. They recover when the body enters a calm, well-nourished state at night, when inflammation settles, blood flow becomes steady, and microscopic repair can finally begin. This is why so many people do everything right during the day, yet wake up tired, stiff, and discouraged by rising creatinine numbers. I once worked with a woman in her mid-60s who told me, "Doctor, I barely eat dinner anymore. I'm afraid every bite will make my kidneys worse." She was waking up 2 to 3 times every night to urinate. Her sleep was fragmented and her lower back felt heavy by morning. Her creatinine wasn't skyrocketing, but month after month, it kept creeping higher, just enough to create anxiety, but not enough to trigger urgent alarms. What her kidneys were missing wasn't restriction. They were missing the right kind of nighttime support. This is where something as simple as a warm pumpkin and lotus seed soup can change the entire rhythm of kidney recovery. From a physiological standpoint, nighttime is when kidney blood vessels are meant to relax. Cortisol levels should fall, parasympathetic nerves should take over, and filtration pressure should decrease. Pumpkin provides gentle carbohydrates and antioxidants that reduce oxidative stress, while lotus seeds contain natural compounds known to calm the nervous system and support deeper sleep. Together, they help lower nighttime vascular tension, which directly reduces stress on the glomeruli, the tiny filters that determine creatinine levels. Clinical observations consistently show that people who sleep more deeply and urinate less at night often experience slower creatinine progression. Studies on sleep disruption and kidney function suggest that chronic nighttime awakening is associated with reduced renal blood flow and increased inflammatory signaling. In other words, poor sleep doesn't just make you tired, it quietly exhausts your kidneys. When patients replace late, salty, protein-heavy dinners with a light, warm, low-sodium meal like this, many report improved sleep within 2 weeks, followed by more stable lab values over the next month. But here's the key: this soup is not about doing less. It's about doing something very specific: calming the nervous system, stabilizing blood flow, and allowing the kidneys to repair instead of constantly reacting. When the kidneys finally get that kind of rest, the body often sends subtle signals: first, fewer nighttime bathroom trips, less morning stiffness, clearer energy upon waking. These are early signs that filtration pressure is easing. However, rest alone is not the full solution, because even when the kidneys are calmer at night, toxins and fluid can still accumulate if they aren't cleared gently and correctly during the day. And this is where many people unknowingly make things worse, because there is another factor far more dangerous if ignored that we need to talk about next. When the kidneys finally begin to rest at night, many people assume the hardest part is over. But this is where a second, quieter danger appears, one that I see derail kidney recovery again and again. It's the belief that cleansing must be strong, fast, and aggressive to be effective. In reality, forcing the kidneys to flush harder often does the exact opposite of what we intend. I remember a 68-year-old man who told me proudly, "Doctor, I drink detox teas every day. I urinate a lot, so my kidneys must be cleaning themselves." On the surface, that sounds reasonable. But his labs told a different story. Despite frequent urination, his creatinine kept climbing and his eGFR slowly declined. What was happening was subtle but dangerous. His kidneys were being pushed to filter faster without reducing inflammation or interstitial pressure. They were working harder, not healing. This is why gentle cleansing matters far more than aggressive flushing. A simple soup made with daikon radish and shiitake mushrooms works in a completely different way. Daikon radish supports mild physiological diuresis, not by shocking the kidneys, but by helping the body release excess interstitial fluid that builds up around renal tissue. Shiitake mushrooms contain beta-glucans compounds shown to modulate immune response and reduce low-grade inflammation, particularly the kind that quietly damages renal tubules over time. From a scientific perspective, chronic kidney stress is rarely caused by a single overload event. It's driven by persistent microinflammation and fluid congestion that compress tiny blood vessels inside the kidney. Studies on renal microcirculation show that even mild tissue swelling can significantly reduce effective filtration, raising creatinine, despite normal urine output. This explains why people who urinate frequently can still have worsening kidney numbers. Filtration quality matters more than quantity. Patients who replace harsh detox drinks or bone broth-heavy meals with light, low-sodium soups like this often notice something important before labs change. Their bodies feel lighter. Their abdomen is less bloated. Their urine stream becomes smoother, not urgent. These are signs that pressure around the kidneys is easing rather than being forced. Over time, this creates an environment where creatinine has a chance to stabilize instead of being constantly pushed upward by inflammatory stress. But here's the critical point most people miss: and cleansing alone still doesn't rebuild what's already been worn down. Even if toxins are released gently, the kidneys cannot repair microscopic damage without the right structural fuel. And this brings us to the next issue, because there is another factor even more dangerous if overlooked that determines whether kidney function can truly recover. Once the kidneys are calmer at night and excess fluid is released gently, many people make a critical mistake without realizing it. They become afraid of protein. They cut it too low too fast, believing that less protein automatically means less kidney stress. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Kidneys don't fail only from overload, they also fail from starvation. I worked with a man in his early 60s who told me, "Doctor, I stopped eating protein for dinner completely. No fish, no meat. I'm scared of making things worse." His intentions were good, but his labs told a troubling story. His creatinine wasn't exploding yet, his muscle strength declined, fatigue worsened, and kidney numbers refused to improve. What his kidneys lacked wasn't rest or cleansing, it was the raw material needed to repair microscopic damage inside the filtration system. This is where clean, low-burden protein becomes essential. Steamed carp with ginger is a powerful example because it provides high-quality protein without the hidden dangers found in many modern protein sources. From a biochemical perspective, the kidneys need amino acids to maintain glomerular structure and repair tubular cells. But not all protein behaves the same. Red meat, processed meats, and heavily salted fish increase acid load, phosphorus stress, and inflammatory signaling, all of which raise filtration pressure. Freshwater fish like carp, prepared gently by steaming, delivers protein that is easier to metabolize, lower in saturated fat, and naturally rich in omega-3 fatty acids. Omega-3s have been shown in multiple studies to reduce renal inflammation and slow the progression of chronic kidney disease by stabilizing cell membranes and improving microvascular blood flow. Ginger adds another layer of protection, supporting circulation and reducing oxidative stress without triggering blood pressure spikes. Clinically, patients who replace heavy evening proteins with moderate portions of clean fish often notice changes before their lab results shift. They wake up with less stiffness, their legs feel lighter, nighttime urination decreases. These are signs that the kidneys are no longer struggling to process excess nitrogen waste overnight. Over the following weeks, creatinine levels in many patients stabilize, not because protein was eliminated, but because it was chosen wisely. And this is the balance most people never hear about. Kidneys don't want more protein, and they don't want less protein. They want the right protein delivered at the right time in a form that supports repair instead of triggering inflammation. When that balance is restored, kidney recovery becomes possible again, slowly, quietly, but sustainably. But even with proper rest-gentle cleansing and clean protein, there is still one hidden threat that can silently sabotage everything we've talked about so far. Because there is another factor even more dangerous if ignored that determines whether the kidneys can truly breathe again. And it's the final piece we need to address. Even when the kidneys are resting at night, gently cleansing during the day, and receiving clean protein to rebuild tissue, there is one silent problem that can undo all of it if left unaddressed. It's something most people have never heard their doctor explain clearly: interstitial fluid pressure. This hidden buildup around kidney tissue doesn't cause sharp pain, but it quietly compresses blood vessels, disrupts filtration, and keeps creatinine stubbornly elevated. I once cared for a 66-year-old patient who told me, "Doctor, I feel swollen, but my tests don't look that bad." He woke up with puffy fingers, tight shoes by evening, and a heavy sensation in his lower back at night. He was doing many things right, eating lightly, sleeping earlier, avoiding salt, yet his creatinine wouldn't budge. The missing piece wasn't effort, it was drainage. His kidneys were surrounded by excess fluid that had nowhere to go. This is where a simple preparation using corn silk and plantain leaf changes the trajectory. Unlike strong diuretics or detox teas that force rapid urine output, these plants support physiological drainage, slow, steady, and synchronized with the body's natural rhythms. Corn silk contains flavonoids and potassium in organic forms that help relax renal microvessels and reduce localized inflammation. Plantain leaf has been studied for its ability to support glomerular membrane integrity and improve microcirculation without stripping essential electrolytes. From a scientific standpoint, kidney filtration depends not only on how hard blood is pushed through the filters, but on the pressure surrounding them. Research into renal interstitial hypertension shows that even mild tissue congestion can significantly impair filtration, efficiency, raising creatinine, even when urine output appears normal. This explains why some people urinate frequently, yet still experience declining kidney function. The kidneys are compressed, not failing outright. Clinically, when this gentle drainage is introduced correctly earlier in the evening, a few times per week, patients often notice profound changes. Nighttime urination becomes less urgent, sleep becomes deeper, morning swelling decreases, blood pressure stabilizes. These are not cosmetic improvements. They are signs that the kidneys are no longer being squeezed from the outside. Over time, lab values often follow the body's signals, not the other way around. But this is also where caution matters. This approach is not about drinking more fluids or pushing the kidneys harder. It's about timing, moderation, and respect for the kidney's limits. Used incorrectly or excessively, even gentle remedies can backfire. Used wisely, they give the kidneys something they desperately need: space. Space to filter calmly, space to repair quietly, space to recover without being forced. And this brings us to the most important realization of all. Because even with the right foods, the right timing, and the right biological support, there is still one final factor that determines whether kidney decline slows or whether it accelerates toward dialysis. And that's what we need to talk about next. As we come to the end of this conversation, I want you to remember one important thing. If your kidney numbers have worried you, if creatinine has slowly climbed despite your best efforts, that does not mean you've failed. It means your body has been asking for a different kind of care, one that is calmer, more precise, and more respectful of how aging kidneys truly work. Small, consistent changes done the right way often matter far more than extreme restrictions or fear-based decisions. If anything you heard today resonated with you, I strongly encourage you to save this video, not just for yourself, but for the days when doubt creeps in or when lab results bring anxiety back to the surface. Kidney health is not a one-time fix. It's a long conversation with your body, and sometimes we all need a reminder of what truly helps and what quietly harms. And if you want to continue learning how to protect your kidneys with clear evidence-based guidance without hype, without dangerous shortcuts, make sure you subscribe to this channel. I regularly share practical medical insights explained in a way that's easy to understand so you can make informed decisions and feel more confident about your health journey. Most importantly, I want to leave you with this message of hope. Kidney decline is not always a straight line downward. When the body is supported with the right timing, the right nourishment, and the right mindset, it can stabilize and sometimes even improve far more than people expect. You are not powerless, you are not too late, and you are not alone in this process. Take care of your kidneys gently, consistently, and with patience. And I'll be here with you step by step.